Shabbat candles, I wanted just to read a few texts that we had in our Siddur, and in the meantime I can actually greet Deborah, Michelle, Paul, Daniel, and all of those. I can't see the names, so thank you for joining us tonight for Shabbat Ruchani. You're most welcome into this virtual synagogue. So in this parasha we find these words, that the Eternal One, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoints someone over the congregation who shall go out before them and come in before them. We shall lead them out and bring them in. So that's in Parashat Pinchas. So there is a midrash that says, what does it say? Why does it say the God of spirits of all flesh? Because Moses wished to say to God, sovereign of the universe, you know the mind of every single individual and how they are all different from one another. Therefore, appoint over them a leader who will be tolerant of each and every one according to the state of mind, And then it continues, when Moses saw how important Pinchas had become, and I will talk to you about this figure in a moment, he feared that Pinchas might be chosen as the next leader, and it did not seem good to him that Israel should have such a zealot for a leader. And you will understand what the text says, because Pinchas actually killed 2 people for a certain reason, and is described as a zealot in Torah. Therefore, Moses begged of God that Israel's leader should be one who would be patient with every individual, that is to say, the tolerant leader, not a zealot. And we have another leader in the Bible that is linked to Pinchas for other reasons, Elijah the prophet. Remember, in the book of Kings, there is a contest between Elijah and 400 priests of the Canaanite god Baal, and at the end of the contest, he kills all the priests. So, of course, question. So Elijah, like Pinchas, was a zealot. But, and this is something that relates to the high holidays, at Mount Horeb, he learned that God was not in the howling wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the raging fire, but in the still, small voice. It's in the one of the people for Rosh Hashanah, the called Mama Daka, oh gosh, remember the name now. So God is not in violence, God is not in the thunder, God is actually in the still, small voice. So let's now light the Shabbat candles, and welcome to you, Maxine, as well. Okay, I'm going to light the candles myself, because yesterday was my 9th ordination anniversary, so I'm thinking about my classmates, my lovely classmate, Rabbi Kate Briggs, who is in Sheffield now, and Rabbi Julia Grace, who is still in the limbo in Germany. So we're trying very, very hard, because she holds a Russian passport, even though she spent 25 years in Ukraine. She's now, so she's in limbo. So I'm thinking, I don't know if you're watching us tonight, so I'm thinking of you, and I know that Rabbi Janet, the day of your ordination.
Today's the 14th.
Today the 14th. Oh, is it today? Okay, so I'm going to let you light the candles, because... No, go ahead, because...
You don't want to make sure it's on.
No, it's... But yeah, let's light one. This time. Yes.
I love this. Reading before.
No, read it. Yes.
Even though it's not quite early evening, the colors of early evening sky blend and deepen, allowing new lights to be seen, twinkling through the branches. The promise that in darkness, new light will be revealed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. So, and you know the purpose of Shabbat Ruchani is to sing. So the next song is about singing to the Eternal One, a new song, Psalm 96, Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash. Adonai. 6, there is a verse which we introduced last Shabbat when we had the Bright Shabbat, Od Ve'adal Lefanav. So it's not yet here, things are incremental, but it's Hod Ve'hadar Lefanav. Can you repeat after me? Hod Ve'hadar Lefanav. And the second part is Oz V'tiferet B'mikdasho. Oz V'tiferet B'mikdasho. Which means honor and majesty are in God's presence, strength and beauty in God's sanctuary. And we could actually spend a lot of time trying to unravel this verse. What does it mean, Hod, V'hadar? Oh, you say honor or honor? No, you don't say the H. Honor, sorry. After all these years, I still have this kind of question.
Really posh.
Sorry?
Really posh.
I'm not posh at all, so...
If you've already forgotten the words, you can hum. And if you haven't any idea what the tune is, it really doesn't matter. This is one of those songs where pretty much any tune works.
Yeah. Da 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 da. Really profound about gentleness, about depth, about connection, and I think this very simple music is actually very, very strong in terms of power. Ya'alo Sadai, so now it's a bit more upbeat, because we also need to stay away from the whole creation sings to its creator.
Very high because, like I said, I've got no cappers.
Yeah, but in this version, the highest note was like E, no?
Well, maybe one of them.
So no wonder that I couldn't reach right. It's okay. What matters is the intention and enjoying ourselves, right? Now, the next one, Yata Adonai Elyon, it's all about the same idea of Od Be'adav, God is supreme over all the earth, exalted over all divine beings. And that's a very interesting phrase in the Bible, because we have decided that there is one God, there's always been one God, but if you look closely into the biblical text, there is a phase during which they were literally going from polytheism to monotheism. There was a phase where they didn't really know what to make of all the forces and the energy that were around them, and they still believed that it was the case in ancient times. And in other religion, I'm not trying to diminish that, but there's lots of divinities around us. So this is what they say. Me'od na'aleta al kol Elohim, you are higher than all the gods. It's a bit difficult to translate it like this, but this is what they felt.
Adonai,
I think it's very, very hot. So all the strings, in the throat of the guitar over there are kind of playing along with the heat. So, it's Monday and Tuesday I went to Barcelona for a bathing. So before you ask, I didn't have time to do anything else. Because it's very busy, you go to bathing and then you go to the sea for the mikveh. And so it was a very different type of Judaism, because we're talking about, of course it's progressive Judaism, but there's a strong Spanish, the Spanish people and Portuguese, so they bring this Sephardi vibes to that. So as rabbis, there was Rabbi Chaim Casas, who is Spanish and lived in Cordoba. There was Rabbi Alona Litzitza, who is Israeli, and she came because she served the community in southern Spain. And there was me, and Rabbi Jackie Tavik was the convener of European Bathing. So I was thinking, I was listening to one guy who actually presented, he wants to be a Chazan. So he sang Yigdal, so in a very Sephardi. And I was thinking of this whole Ariul Adonai, because we had this kind of very Spanish feel to it. And I thought, yes. So Friday, I really want us to think about, there's an emerging Jewish community in Spain after 500 years of disappearance. And what really fascinates me is to see that some of these people have kept, we call them the Anusim, conversos, and they kept for 500 years some of the traditions. So, for example, there's this guy who said, every Shabbat, my grandmother would, draw the curtain and light 2 candles without saying anything. All these traces of history, and there are villages in Brazil or in Portugal where they intermarried. They didn't marry out. Of course, outwardly they were Christians, but inwardly they had a very strong Jewish without always knowing what they were doing. So I found it so moving to see this loyalty to the Jewish tradition of all these centuries.
So many generations, isn't it? It's not just
500 years. No. 500 years is how many generations there by century.
We used to go to synagogue in London.
Yeah, of course, yes, yeah.
How many people went to Bacon?
So we some had 10 people. Yeah, 10 people. It was scorching hot, but gosh, the humidity, it was a bit...
It constantly amazes me, just the numbers, because I talked to Ariel today, and they had a big dinner in Italy, and over the course of 2 days, they saw 30 people.
30 people?
30 people.
Gosh.
3 days. 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
3 days.
It's very intense, it's very intense, yeah. So we did a mikveh in the sea because, we need Mayim Chaim, we need living water, and of course the best example of living water is the sea. So it was kind of strange because all the people bathing, etc. Because we had to get naked, so we didn't go to get naked really the beach, so we had a little plan go inside. And anyway, so it was, and I was thinking of this Harim Ladona, which we are going to sing together as a tribute to the Spanish roots of Judaism.
Please don't talk it up too much, because this is one way we might be able to sing the key up.
Hallelujah.
So I can see that Jill from Suffolk is with us tonight. So Jill, welcome. Jane Ward, Jane, when will we see you again? I really want you to come back to KLS as well. I know it's a long way, but if you come, we'll do something special. Okay? And Sandra, I hope you're okay. Sandra Levine, because we have many Sandras at KLS. So Sandra, Shabbat Shalom to you all. And Rene, your mother is here online, so Rene, Shabbat Shalom. Rene. Gosh, so many ways to pronounce the same word. Huh? So, Shabbat Shalom. Okay, so, Psalm 92. So as you know, this song 92 marked the start of what we sing on Shabbat. It's the only song that actually is mentioned in connection with Shabbat, and of course now the big one, Lech Hadodi, which is quite a recent text in terms of Jewish liturgy because it's only from the 16th century. So again, if you want to let the music flow through your body, stand and move around and waltz and just to do as you feel. You don't have to, because we don't want to force people we don't want people to be uncomfortable. Just let the music flow through you and feel the waltz.
Shabbat
So we remain standing for the Baruch. But you know, it's something that in the West we have forgotten. You know that prayer is not only words, not only the brain, it's also the voice and the body. And it's a very difficult thing to do, just to go against, you know, our natural inhibition in a way.
Especially the British.
I mean, you know, when I introduced this in France, this kind of music, they said to me, "It's lovely, but if you insist, we'll fire you." So I persevered, of course, because it's what I do, and eventually they loved it. But you know, I said, you know what, and they're, you know, mostly Sephardi, so you know, they have more this sense of, you know, music, and I think we of course, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable. And that's the last thing we want. So if you don't feel like it, just do it, it's okay. But just, you know, literally, you know, slowly getting the body moving. Get the body moving. Okay, Baruch.
La 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 la
the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will set the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. You make day pass and bring on the night and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of heaven. Baruch atah Adonai, Am Hariv Aravim. והיו לטובתו בעיניך, וכתבת מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו, עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone are our God, and we are Israeli people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witness your power, we praise your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule, and full of joy we sang together. And it has been said, the Eternal One has delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. Baruch atah Adonai, Ka'al Yisrael. I really love this title. Do you have the same? Beloved. I have Beloved. It's a very interesting title. Beloved. So maybe it's how they felt in 1940 and 1945. Huh?
No, it's supposed to be delivered.
It's supposed to be delivered.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's interesting.
Thinking the keyboard.
It's fine. You know what? Once I have the final version, because I've been thinking of having a nice printed version of Shabbat Ruchani, I will ask someone who is very good at spotting all the time, because I'm not. I read it 3 times, and look, I'm not.
Yeah.
This is not my strength.
And there's another one in the.
Yeah, but and the first page, and I mean, that's spotting. It's, you know, some people are very, I'm sure you would be very good, Craig, at spotting titles. I'm sure.
I'm quite good at circling them and finding them, but then the trouble is, you know, you retype it, and if you're not very careful, you put in a new
A
one.
new one. And also when it's your text, because you type it the first time, when it's your text,
It
it's
looks-
very difficult.
Yeah, it's hard when you have to.
Yes, you need another pair of
Or
eyes.
you print it out, wait a few days, and do it on.
Yeah. Anyway, so there will be a final version with one sheet for each Shabbat with the songs of the day, and all the rest, the things that are the same, will be on a printed something. Yeah, we could do something really nice with that, and having, but again, yeah. So, Ashki Veinu, do you want want to sing? Huh?
who calls the time of creation by sanctifying Shabbat, blessing the seventh day, and upholding
May the Most High, source of perfect peace, grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world.
Amen. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Vince, for the music. So, sorry about that. Sometimes, you know. So, tonight, I want to talk about religion and violence, but I don't want to kill the mood, and I will end up in a better place than it started. But sometimes we need to acknowledge the difficult things in our lives, because if we don't face them, they don't go away. They just linger in the background, and we rot from the inside if we don't face what's difficult in our lives. And the best way to move forward is to actually have an honest conversation with ourselves, or in our society, in our couples sometimes, all these things that are difficult, but they are an occasion to grow. So very often when I mention my job in a non-Jewish, non-religious environment, like, I'm a rabbi, and I'm not even a woman, so I can't imagine when you're a woman, So I'm told that all the wrongs in the world were done in the name of religion, and I'm given the examples of far-right American Protestants, of Islamic terrorists, the Inquisition, and so on, and even some passages in the Bible that are infused with violence. And all of this is, of course, right, it's true. This is absolutely true. How many people were killed in the name of God, and sadly, how many people will be killed in the name of God in the future? It's not over yet. But if you look just back in the last century, the last 2 centuries, Nazism, communism, the Khmer Rouge, the Cultural Revolution in China, the Stalin Gulag, the genocides in Armenia, Rwanda, Bosnia, which we mark this Shabbat tomorrow, we're going to talk about Srebrenica, the Uyghur, I don't know how to pronounce it, and today's atrocity in Ukraine, all were inspired by politics and not religion. And what about the deadly cost of the late capitalism that we live in today, which very much resembles lots of aspects to capitalism at the time of colonialism. Of course, in the West, we feel only a mild version of it, but go to the workshop countries in Asia and Africa, they know what hard capitalism is about. And, capitalism has also killed people. There's also brutality inspired this time not by religion or by politics, but by greed and selfishness. So, it is true that religion has something to be taken accountable for, but it's not only that. So, I would like to share tonight about Torah that was written by Rabbi Mark Gary, the Vice Chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York, and he called this Dvar Torah, which I'm actually going to quote in extenso because it's really good. In the face of violence, the covenant of peace. And this is really where I want us to go tonight. That is not to say, of course, that religion has failed to play a significant role throughout history in the instigation of wars or the perpetration of individual acts of violence. History is replete with such examples from the Crusades to the massacre at Hebron by Baruch Goldstein, remember 1994, to the killing and maiming of abortion providers by fundamentalist Christians, to acts of terrors committed in the name of Islam. Those of us who take religious life seriously and we see its fundamental values expressed in concept of love, justice, human dignity, and this is exactly our understanding of Judaism, cannot help but feel both disgusted and defensive about the history of wars and violent acts, and to take in the name of religious conviction, even if our secular friends and neighbors tend to impose disproportionate blame on religion for the world's woes. This week's Torah portion, Pinchas, frames like no other parasha the problem of biblical religion's relationship to violence, particularly zealotry and vigilantism. This is vigil or vigilantism? Vigilantism, okay, thank you. So it's a kind of a weird one because, and tomorrow I'm going to read the end of last week's parasha and the beginning of this week's parasha because it's cut just in the middle of the story. It's kind of a strange way to cut between Barak and Pinchas. So last week we read the story of Pinchas, the grandson of Aaron, and this is what happened, who saw an Israelite man and a Midianite woman publicly having sex in an alcove, in Hebrew kuba, near or inside the tabernacle. So, of course, you can imagine someone coming here. Without warning of any judicial proceedings, Pinchas grabbed a spear and thrust it through them, both in a violent parody of a sexual act itself. The spear ended to the woman's kuba, which may refer either to her belly or sexual part. That parasha ended with the plague being lifted, but not definite word about how God or Moses viewed this act of vigilantism. And in this week's parasha we read that, and it's really shocking. The Eternal spoke to Moses, saying, Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, has turned back my wrath from the Israelites by displaying among them his passion for me. Keen eye, Hebrew, and keen eye is also used to talk about zeal, zealotry. So that I did not wipe out the Israelite people in my passion. Keen eye again. Say, therefore, I grant my pact of friendship, Berit Shalom. It shall be for him, for Pinchas and his descendants after him, a pact of priesthood for all time, because he took impassioned action for his God, thus making expiation for the Israelites. So, think about a moment. Pinchas kills a man and a woman who were having sex in the temple. It's not temple, but in the tabernacle. And for this act, that it was absolutely not based on any legal proceeding and anything like that, God grants Pinchas and his descendants priesthood for all the generation. It's kind of strange. Huh? So, okay, so some explanations. Some biblical commentators reject the view that the cremate issue was a ritual crime and argue instead that it was a political transgression. This position is supported by the identification of the perpetrators who are revealed in our parasha. Zimri, son of Salu. So I'm going to pass this because it might be away from a tribe and also from the Midianite, because the woman was called Cosby, not the Cosby show, but Cosby, the daughter of Tsur, a Midianite princess. So it's, it ticks all the wrong boxes. It's in the tabernacle, and it's interfaith thing. And the Midianites are people that are the enemies of the Jews in the Torah. So, of course, some of them say that this was a political act. So the question, of course, remains, okay. So, there is a danger if we think about the way God has actually seemed to condone this act. And there is an existential threat to the people itself if we think that Pinchas can be misused as a precedent and even a justification for violent political action. Think about Yigal Amir, the man who killed Yitzhak Rabin in 1995. Yigal Amir was a religious Zionist. He mixed political and religious motivations, and he felt himself as a zealot, killing in the name of God. So in the Talmud, there is a very interesting passage. We could actually read it. There's a page for this that discusses this very passage that says that, of course, it's God's word, so we can't really say anything if God say you've been rewarded. We can't really say, God, you're wrong. But what we can say that in the future this cannot happen anymore. In the future, if you have any grudge against anyone, don't make justice by yourself, and certainly not in the name of God. So Rabbi Gary continues, while the divine blessing of the Berit Shalom for Pinchas. So here he chose to rely not on the modern biblical scholarship, but rather on more traditional commentaries. When it was Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, who lived in the 19th century, and he said, in reward for turning away the wrath of the Holy Blessed One, God blessed Pinchas with attribute of peace, that he should not be quick-tempered or angry. And this, I think, is very interesting. The Brit Shalom that God gave to Pinchas, at least this is one way to understand it. When God gave Pinchas the Brit Shalom, he gave Pinchas the capacity not to be short-tempered, and not to act irrationally in the future. And I think it's a very interesting way that God couldn't say to Pinchas, you were wrong, but he couldn't really condone, because Pinchas was the grandson of Aaron, so therefore he was, the heir of the priesthood lineage. But he also gave this idea of shalom into the lineage of the Kohanim, of the priest, in order to limit any possible violence. Therefore, how the rabbis understood this passage is, actually, this is the last act of zealotry that was performed in a time that they were still looking, searching themselves, trying to understand who they were, and religious violence is not acceptable at all. And remember, Aaron in the Jewish tradition is considered Rodef Shalom, as pursuer of peace. When we talk about Aaron, it's always Rodef Shalom. It's the one who always tries to find a peaceful solution to a conflict. And this is what we are. I think in our own ways, it's what we do at KLS. And when you have conflicts, when we have disagreements, we never let family turn into eternal war. We always try to find a solution. And this is, I think, what human beings should be able to do. And if we are able to do this in our limited community, why can't we do this on a larger scale? We can do it, but all human beings are very different from each other. And we can do it. It's not always easy, because sometimes it means, that we take ego back and say, okay, I was wrong. Very often people actually stay in a position because they don't want to admit that they were wrong. There's this kind of pride, and it's very hard. We have to fight this. Because when you say, yeah, I'm sorry, I was wrong, it's such a powerful thing. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Okay, so I'm going to have a quick look on I'm not going to chat with anyone else, but I'm just going to have a quick look on the newsletter to talk about the coming. So tomorrow we have Book Crushers discussing The Stranger's City by Linda Grant. Then we have a memorial service, and we will mark Srebrenica Memorial Week. There is a UK charity called Remembering Srebrenica, and they're always trying to make sure that we remember Srebrenica, and especially the Jewish community, because there is so much resemblance. It's a genocide. So of course tomorrow evening this great concert from generation to generation, an evening of words and music fundraiser. I think it's still possible to buy some tickets. You've got the link on the newsletter. So Sunday, picnic in the park. Is it this park?
No, Bushy Park.
Bushy Park with the Dialogue Society. So you please.
I think it's been the playground. Yes, I think so. Not anymore.
just contact with
Contact me and I'll provide, yeah.
So my apologies, I will be with the kids Jewish time tomorrow, so we have a Beitenu day out tomorrow. 30 people coming, so it'll be a great day. Tuesday evening, discussion group with Brian Plasko. Is criticism good or bad? I like this question because they're kind of, when you read them, and then we spend an hour really exploring all these things. And Brian is such a nice way, he always brings a little story, and it's a kind of, he brings it very often a joke, and it's really, really good the way he prepares it. Thursday, there's beginning group. There's also my last Exploring Judaism session on Thursday. Everything you ever wanted to ask a rabbi and you never dare asking, and I still keep the right not to answer. Next Friday, the 14th of July, the Bastille Day, Shabbat at home at the Warnsteins in Teddington. And next Saturday is the last day of Beitenu last term, and we have a family service to mark the end of Beitenu, and then we really get into deep summer, and we see what we do for the last summer. Remember, we had 1 or 2 Shabbats morning with study sessions, discussion, and I know that people quite kind of like it. We have a time for some prayers to warm up spiritually, and then some discussions.
Can I mention that
Sure.
the end of the Beitenu term is also the deadline for nominating any charities that you think we should be supporting from the money that remains from the last high holidays. We've spent half of it, we've got half to go.
I have received today an email from Nightingale Amazon to thank us for our donation. So, right, Craig, have I forgotten anything? I think it's, yeah, and then the summer. So I'm away 3 weeks in August, and we have service leaders to cover while I'm away. And it's going to be quiet anyway. The summer is always a great time. And high holidays start on the 15th of September this year, and we're already preparing them because we don't get ready on the 10th of September. We started a long time ago. There will be loads of Chavurah suppers. There will be a Erev Rosh Hashanah here, like a Chavurah supper, Erev Rosh Hashanah on Sukkot and on Simchat Torah. So it's going to be fun. Fun and spiritual and meaningful. Right. So on this Shabbat, we remember Meyer Schweidman, the grandfather of Anna Sanderson. We remember Tom Johnson, the father of Tina Higgins. We remember Raymond Benjamin, the son of Edmund and Evelyn Benjamin, and twin brother of Samuel. And we remember Zygmunt Ortner, the father of Barbara Richards. Is there any name you would like to remember tonight?
Victor Galucci.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Victor Galucci.
Victor Galucci.
He's a friend of mine and disappeared. Well, he's no longer on the phone, so somebody said...
So he disappeared, he died, or he
Died.
He died, okay. So he disappeared, but yeah. Okay, yeah. Zichronam Livracha, may the memory be a blessing. And we say together the Kaddish, which is in your booklets. Six. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמד וברך יחיה וימלך מלכותי, בחיי הון ויומהון, ובחיי דורון בית ישראל, מעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קדשה מלכו, לעילה מכל בכלתה ושירתה, תוש בחרתה ונחמתה, דם ירם ואמר ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה הבא משמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום עממיו, ויעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם ואמרו אמן. So, Vince, what's your surprise for tonight?
It'll be a surprise if it all goes according to plan. But the plan is we're going to sing Briado.
Oh, yes.
It's in the book. The words are on page 10. Page 10 of the book.
Page 10. Please stand. מי ששיקד את שמו בבית הכנסת הזה הוא ישלים ביניכם אהבה ואחווה ושלום ורעות. May the one whose presence dwells in this synagogue and in your homes cause love and harmony, peace and friendship to dwell among us. And let us say, Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to you online.